Broadcasting live from our studio in Boston with presentations from prominent industry vendors, Solutions Review presents Data Demo Day, a virtual trade show for data management and analytics.
Hello, I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review, and welcome back to Data Demo Day. Next up is Alation. And if you don't know Alation, you should. They're the first company to bring a data catalog to market. The Alation data catalog combines machine learning and human collaboration to change the way people find, understand, trust, use, and reuse data. More than 200 organizations leverage the Alation data catalog right now, and we are joined by Nic Colley, sales engineer at Alation. Nic, are you with us?
Well, let's get this thing on the road.
All right. You and I had a chance to chat a little earlier, and you are actually a former client of Alation. Is that correct?
Correct. So prior to joining Alation, I was a data science team lead and a member of a corporate data governance board for a large multinational manufacturing company, where as a data scientist, it would take me like 3 months to ramp up on a project. And as a member of the corporate data governance board, we didn't even know where to begin. How to start implementing our policies across all of our data and finding the data. So I led the effort to go out and find a data catalog to bring it in, and so I ended up rolling out Alation. So it's been a really cool opportunity to be not only a customer of Alation, but now working for Alation and seeing on both sides of it.
All right, great. So we're going to get out of the way. We would expect that you would probably give us a little bit more deeper overview of Alation, and then walk through a demo, and then we'll come back in about a half an hour, and I'll have a chat with you, take some questions from the folks attending, and we'll wrap it up. But I'll talk to you in a little bit.
Sounds good. So hi everybody. So a little background on Alation. Alation, we got started a little over 7 years ago. We started as a analyst productivity tool because it was something that we find that when we look at the data journey, we look at it backwards. We usually look at, okay, we need to do the ETL tools, we need to do this, we need to do that. But when we look at the beginning of the journey for a data scientist, a data analyst, we're looking at it from what does this data even mean? Can I trust this data? Very basic, but very hard questions that can be answered. And we started, with our first customer at eBay, and now have over 280 customers. And what's been great about having started as a data analyst activity tool is we've been able to build it so that the end users want to use the data catalog. And this was something that really spoke to me as a data scientist, because it's all about going out and finding that data you need. And then by having the data governance on top of that and all the different components for compliance, risk analysis, we have a lot of different use cases, including cloud transformation. We're enabling companies to go out and better understand data and dive into it. So let's dive into the demo and get into there. So in the words of the smash hit from 1990s Jurassic Park, welcome to Alation. So Alation is all about making it easy for you to go in, find, trust, and understand that data. And we do this through a couple different methods. One of our methods is broad and deep connectivity. Alation has connectors to over 85 different connectors out of the box. That makes it easy for us to go in. So we have a lot of breadth, and then we have a lot of depth, because we're able to derive a lot of cool benefits from those connections. And you're going to see those, and I'll call those out. Right now, I'm logged in as a data analyst. So I can come in here and easily see what's going on and find stuff. So think about this from a perspective is, when you first started your data journey, what questions did you have about the data? What were you looking at? How long did it take you to ramp up? And then compare it to what we're going to show. And I'll be honest, yes, this is a demo environment, but this is what I experienced as a data scientist once we deployed Alation. So whenever we start as a new analyst, the first thing I always recommend is to go out and start with BI tools, start with BI reports, because that means someone's taken data, turned it into information, transformed it to knowledge, into actions, right? So if we're at a marketing firm, the first place I would look is segments, right? So I can come in and type in, I can search customer, and I can go in and find segments, and we can then come over here and start searching. So we can see what Alation is doing is it is searching across the entire data catalog, whether it's your data sources, whether it's your BI tools, whether it's your your documentation. Alation is bringing all this back to us, and we can come over here and we can additionally filter it. So let's start with the BI reports, because that's a great place to start diving in and seeing what's there. So we're getting a listing back of a bunch of BI reports that will allow us to see that information. And I apologize, I'm on my backup computer, so and my G key is not working for whatever reason. So I'm going to jump right into a BI report that that we were supposed to dive into. So here we're in the customer segments, and we can see that here's the breadcrumb trail of where we're landing and where this report is pulling from. And before I dive in, I can see that there's an issue with the data. This report is based on old customer segmentation model. A dashboard based on the new customer demographic model is here. And this is powerful because, we went from searching to then landing on a report that we didn't know was the right one to use, but we can see that someone has already documented and communicated out, hey, do not use this report. We want to use this report instead. This is powerful because now this is building that trust into the data. If I was signed into Tableau and I had the permissions to see this report, I would see that report right there along with this documentation. I can also come over here and say, please refer to the PII data policy before using this data. I can see that Sally also endorses. So this is the person that deprecated the last report. So within just a minute of clicking and searching, I landed on the BI report that I needed to be on. We can see the fields. We can see how those are calculated. Yes, it does handle complex calculations. We can come over here and we can see the lineage. And this is really powerful because the lineage is automatic out of the box day one. So I can see from this dashboard what the source tables are coming from. This is huge because now as a new person to the team, I'm not having to go in, open the Tableau dashboard, see the data connection. I can see this automatically. And I can come over here and click on this and see all the documentation at my fingertips. So this is a great way to just dive in and open this up. Now I'm going to take a step out for a second from that new analyst role, because we just went from searching to landing on the BI report to then landing on the, this table page. Think about your current data journey. How do your analysts, how do your data scientists do that? How are you notifying them, hey, is this trusted data? Is this not trusted data? Now it's built into that workflow. So we landed on a random table from the lineage. We could also have gotten there from search. We can see the database, the breadcrumb trail, again, the schema and the table. We can also see the logical name and the physical name that is in the database. And this is really cool because this is where one of the secret sauces of Alation kicks in. It's barbecue-ish, tangy, but it's nice. So what it's doing is we have machine learning built into the catalog that is taking any documentation you bring into Alation, whether it's a description of the table, whether it's documentation through our articles, and it's using that knowledge and it's going to start breaking up these naming conventions and start taking guesses. What does CSTMR mean? It means customer. What does DMS mean? It means demographics. And the reason why I call this out is this is automation at scale. So now you're not having to think about it as a new analyst. How long did it take you to ramp up and understand all those little acronyms that you had or those abbreviations you had in your databases, right? And then you come across that random one. Let's use machine learning and automate that guess. Think about the widest table that you have. My previous company, I had a table that was 430 columns wide. Do you think a steward's going to go out and name those manually? Let's automate that. And yes, that was my table. I may or may not have created a table with all my features for a model as a column. So I can see the description, and I can also see who the top users are of this table. So this is really helpful. So if I have a question about, who is Sally Stewart, then I can easily jump in and ask her that question. And I can do that over here in the conversations. Because if I had a question about data quality or migration, I can expand this and see that, hey, is there enough data in the cust ID field to make this useful? Just spoke with Sally. This data goes back 5 years. So now it's enabling self-service. So if I already had a question, instead of going to Danny or to Sally, someone's already asked, David already asked, and Ben responded. So now it's, I don't have to go and bother them. I already been informed of that knowledge. One of our customers in pharmaceuticals, 80% of their analyst questions are now getting answered in conversations. Think about the impact. That's massive time to insights increase that you're getting. We can also, I can scroll down, see some sample columns content, as well as seeing, okay, there's some data quality info, there's some data sensitivity there. Okay, it's giving me some context what's going on. But wait, what if I was looking for more description? I can click on this question button. Oh, it's grabbing those top users and gonna shoot them a notification saying, hey, can you describe this a little bit more? So now it's leveraging that crowdsourcing mentality. So for all those tables that you don't have descriptions of, leverage those top users. These top users are coming from the query logs. I talked about how we have deep connectivity. Alation is going to connect those data sources and read the logs and pull back that information to expose it. Coming across, I can see the columns. I can see the physical column name and the logical or business column name. I can see that there's primary key, a couple foreign keys, and these two columns are indexes. Excellent. So if I want to perform queries, I need to make sure that I can do some searching off these indexes. I can also see popularity. This is really fascinating. So because Alation is aware how people are using the data, because we're with our deep connectivity to the data sources, we're going to start showing you how popular these objects are all the way down to the column level. There's some more that you're going to see with that popularity come back in a little bit, because we not only track it at the column level, but we'll also track it at the table level. So if you're trying to move tables, figure out what tables to move to the cloud for your analytics team, you'll be able to know what are the most popular tables. Coming across, we can see some sample data. We can see that the data steward is marked, this is sensitive, so that we can come in and, not reveal that PII. We can come across and see how people are filtering on this data and joining on this data. Oh, okay, this is cool. So now I'm starting to see the behavioral analysis of the data, so of like how people are actually leveraging it. And I can see people have actually come in and have named these. That's really handy. Okay. And then I can see the lineage. So I can see what all downstream is coming off this table, what's being leveraged off this, as well as seeing how people are querying against this data. So here we can see that there's customer demographic totals, and I can see, well, that's interesting. That doesn't look like normal query text. What's going on here? So I can go into this. So what we were just in is what was called published queries. So as an analyst, or as a data scientist, or as a governance person, we all talk about corporate KPIs, right? And the need to have standardization when it comes to sharing that knowledge and to make sure that everyone's pulling back the same data. Well, now you can publish those queries so that people know, hey, this is the way to pull back this data. You can use that in conjunction with our glossary so that people can then go in and find that, and we'll see that glossary in a minute. So going back into that query, I can see this query has been endorsed. I can also see a description about it, sweet. And then I see this little run form button. What this run form button will do is it will allow me to come in and remember that little funky text I called out? It's making that query that usually is static become dynamic. So now I can come in here and search active, and yes, I want to get notified. Let's do it. Awesome. And we're getting back the knowledge of all of our active customers. So now it's, I didn't have to write a query, and I'm already pulling back data, getting an instinct of what does our customer segment look like by demographic that are currently active customers. Beautiful. So within just a few minutes, we've gone from looking at a BI report to then landing on it, going and finding the right BI report to be using, not the incorrect one, to then landing on the table and pulling back data without even having to write a query yet. This is powerful, and this is what started attracting me as a customer of Alation to Alation, because it enables that self-service, it enables that knowledge sharing off the get-go. If this is a query I wanted to start using, awesome. I can open up Compose, and I can bring back, I can start working on this data. So Compose is Alation's SQL IDE. That is to say it's our SQL editing tool. So you can come in here and you can start writing queries. You can start adding, and modifying it. And right now, this query is owned by Sally. If I come over here and clone it, I can then modify it and make it my own query. It has full IntelliSense, which is really nice. But what's cool is because Alation's aware of how people are filtering and joining, when I come down here to filters and joins, it's going to leverage all that knowledge and start prompting me with it. I can also come over here and mouse over and see, hey, this customer DMS, it has that PII, it has those warnings on it. And this is powerful because this is your governance at scale. Because think about it, you've got this, we had a 175-page corporate data governance document. If you have PII, do this. If you have this data, do this. But it was on a shared drive someplace that most analysts didn't know where to even find it, right? This is now taking your governance and making it active because it's part of the data, a part of the querying, and it's all there at your fingertips. This is massive. I can also see all the sample data, and I can see all the documentation. I'm not having to have multiple monitors up. I can come over here and I can run it, I can export it, I can also download the data results and go right into Tableau with it if I wanted to. Compose was one of my favorite tools of Alation as a data scientist, because what I ended up doing is I ended up using it as my source of truth for all of my queries for my machine learning models. Because one, I knew if there was any governance changes to these documents, like, hey, there's a PII governance, it would tell me, it would notify me, it would let me know what was going on. And then it would also give me impact analysis. I remember I had a couple of queries I'd written, and I was following a couple of tables that I built my data off of. And one of my tables that I had written off of, I had watched it. So the all-seeing eye here, right? And 2 hours before one of my presentations was a new dashboard, I got a notification. Hey, the deprecation was issued. Bad ETL job last night. Data push failed. Past 48 hours, the data was incorrect. Okay, awesome. So what I did, I walked into that meeting, showed them that email, and said, hey, just FYI, the past 48 hours of data, bad. I talked to the stewards, they're gonna have a resolution in play. Everything past that was good. They said, okay. It built trust in me because I was able to explain why we were seeing the little wigglies, and also build that confidence in them that, hey, everything after that's good, and they knew what was gonna be fixed going forward. So it was a great way to communicate out. The queries I'd written against that table also got flagged saying, hey, FYI, this is kind of important for you to know. Okay, enough of that part. I'm going to talk about glossaries for a minute. So Alation supports glossaries out of the box, where you can go in and each division can have its own glossary. This is really handy because now, we've been there. Different divisions measure the same KPI just a little bit differently, right? Well, now those divisions can have documentation so users can come in there and find it and see, what does this mean? How are we measuring this? And it's great because now we can start building this out. And what makes our documentation and our glossaries different is that we can come over here and I can expand this and see the sample data or see the queries or see the BI reports right there built into the glossary term itself. So it's giving me that additional context. It's giving me that additional context. So what we're going to do is I'm going to transition over to our data steward role, and she's going to have a different view of how this data looks. So here I'm logged in as Sally as a data steward. If I come in here into the glossaries, we can now see this tab being opened up. And this is really powerful because this tab is suggested terms. So I talked about how Alation is tracking popularity of all the way down to the column level and how we're using the machine learning to break apart the abbreviations and taking guesses at what those means, right? Well, now Alation is going to use that knowledge and by popularity across all these data sources, start recommending, hey, we're seeing a lot of amounts with the term amount. There's 222 objects associated to this. If I know there's other abbreviations for this, I can come in here and I can add that abbreviation and Alation will update this list. Cool, Nick, how is this going to help me? Well, now I can come over here and I can attach this to an existing glossary term, or I can create a glossary term to it. And by clicking this button, what it's going to do is it will automatically associate the glossary term to all of those amounts automatically. And anytime there's a new column added or table added, this glossary term will automatically be added there. So it's leveraging the at-scale and automation to help you reach your data governance things. This was massive. But in the words of those infomercials at 2 a.m., but wait, there's more. So I can come down here and I can see there's an assigned stewards. This was impactful for us because as corporate data governance, we were previously talking to our colleagues, hey, what data is important to you? Marketing, what data are you using? And then we'd come together and go, all right, we think marketing has the most important data, right? That's not efficient, it's not scalable, also inaccurate. Because Alation's tracking that popularity, again, from the column level, Alation will provide you a enterprise level view that says, across all these data objects, across all these data sources, by popularity, there's no steward assigned here. Start here, pass, go, collect your $200 for your data governance. So your data governance currency, yay. You can assign this to a user or to a group. So if you have a governance team, boom, set them off and get them going. This, right? Like I got excited when I saw this. Like, oh, this is amazing because this was the compass that guided us more. But don't worry, if you're a steward, we also got your back. Because we'll be able to provide you, as Sally, a dashboard that shows you, what your inbox is at. If you've been assigned specific tasks, it looks like I have a couple of things that need my review. I've got a couple of questions I need to dive into, as well as seeing, if there have been any changes on the catalog, I would see those changes there, as well as seeing the curation. And I can go into my curation progress as Sally. And again, across all my data sources, from database all the way down to the columns, by popularity, where my curation progress is at. So now I know with confidence where I need to be focusing my efforts, where I need to be pointing my next bit of curation and governance efforts. Anytime I get assigned new objects, this dashboard updates in real time. You don't have to wait for some cron job report to come out. In addition, Alation has a rules engine that will allow you to go out and pull back the data and set governance at scale across the entire catalog. This is really powerful because now if you need to start implementing PII policies or masking data, you can do that through our rules engine, and it doesn't require a programmer. The last story I will leave you with from my personal experience was, I had a data analyst transition to a different team, right? And when they transitioned, I backfilled that position And I said, hey, go take a look at your predecessor's profile. Go look at, Sally's profile, and go look at what their expertise is. Go look at what queries they've published, what conversations they've been a part of. Because Alation is going to automatically generate the expertise. It's automatically going to show you what groups they're part of, what they're a steward of, as well as what they've been publishing and sharing with the groups. The reason I call this out is this is going to help your analysts, your data scientists, your end consumers start ramping up a lot faster. Because then they can see what their predecessor worked on or what their colleague worked on. Think about those stamps, the endorsements, right? Where we saw Sally's endorsement. Well, she had endorsed a lot of demographic and segment data. If we look at her expertise, she's in a lot of these expertise. Okay, great. I'm now getting that context. By the end of that first week, the data analyst was able to generate their first BI report because they had this additional context within Alation, and it didn't require 3 months like it did for me to ramp up inside of Alation. So this is Alation at a 30K foot view, where we went from searching for customer segments to then landing and finding the BI report we needed to then knowing, hey, this is interesting. This is a different customer segments data. This does not contain, this isn't seasonal data. So again, it's providing that context and going in there. So this is Alation at that 30K foot view. That allows you to go in there. And what I want to do is I want to open it up and see if we have any questions. And it looks like we do have a question. What BI tools does Alation have connectors for? Oh, that's great. So some of our most popular ones, we've got, Tableau, Power BI, and a slew of others that my brain is suddenly forgetting. But we do have a slew of those connectors. So it's very easy to go in and bridge that connection. All of our connectors are done through the user interface, and as a data steward or as a data source steward, you can set when Alation will automatically extract that through the user interface as well.
Hey, Nick, it's Doug. That was an excellent presentation. Here at Solutions Review, we think a lot about where spaces are going. Your solution is really a reflection of the kind of data democratization that is happening right now and how people think about, how users think about data rather than data scientists think about data.
Yes, I think you hit the nail on the head as data democratization, because there's a lot of different tools out there that claim to be data catalogs or that do governance. And they're top-down, oppressive, and they're like, "Rawr, do the thing," and you're like, "Ah." And whenever you're in those systems, unless it's built into your workflow on a day-to-day basis, and I speak to this as I work for a German European company, and they are very top-down, you're less likely to use it. But if there's a tool that enables data democratization that allows you to go in and encourages you to go find the data and is useful from the end user perspective, we can leverage that crowdsourcing knowledge. We can, it'll naturally encourage people to go in and find the data. Because what we found was when we deployed Alation, we would start documenting, and then people go, "Hey, do you have this data?" And I would send them the link to the table or to the column where I documented that information. And they'd be like, "Awesome." And then they became a user because they started seeing the benefits of Alation, and it just enabled people to find the data a lot faster while still being secure within our compliance that we needed.
Well, so with regard to users, one of the questions that I have is, who are the typical main users of Alation in an organization?
Ooh, great question. So what we found is it's generally, we have a lot of data analysts, data scientists that'll come in and use it, governance people, but we also have a lot of analysts that aren't necessarily query writers or business users that are just trying to see if there's a BI report that exists that has been, that has been validated saying this is the right BI report. So my non-technical director would go into Alation and find data that he was looking for, send me a link going, "Hey, make a modification to this by 20%. I was in a Six Sigma group, so he would rely on me on all the tech stuff. So it mainly data scientists, data analysts, but also business users would come in and find that data they were looking for.
So with regard to your experience, what was the driver that brought Alation into your work?
This is kind of embarrassing, but also kind of funny. So I got tired of taking so long to find data. So I went ahead and started building out my own data catalog internally, thinking, oh, this should be easy. No, it's not. No, it is not. And once, I did it with my blessings of a couple of different managers. And once they found out that, hey, one of our data scientists is building a data catalog, why is he doing that? Let's go get a solution that is properly supported and, has more features than, just listing the metadata. That's what was the impetus that did it. So they're like, well, if you were building it, you're leading the effort to go find it.
Well, these are the kind of questions that actually are interesting to me, and I think our audience, because I think ultimately our audience, typically at Solutions Reviewers, is looking for the next generation of solution. They're looking to begin to test and explore new solutions. So with regard to that, how does somebody start to engage Alation in a consideration cycle? Is there a trial? Are there, kind of easy paths to test?
Oh, yes. There are very easy paths to get into testing. The first thing is to reach out to Alation, and our contact information is provided. When you reach out, we'll put you in touch with an account executive, and they'll work with you to figure out what's going to be the easiest, fastest way to get us up. We have a couple different ways of doing it, from proof of concepts to doing like cloud, where we spin up a cloud instance so you can interact with it, see it. We can toss your data on there if you want it. That's kind of what I do, is I do a lot of the technical interactions as well as interacting with the business leaders to show, hey, I can say firsthand that like Alation does what they say they do. It's something that's really powerful for me because it's like I was there. And so that's, yeah. So it's very easy for you to test Alation out, TLDR.
So with regard to testing Alation out, what should people be thinking about? I mean, where should they be coming from a strategic perspective internally?
So the first thing is, do you have executive backing on this? Like, yes, you have the interest, that's awesome, but like making sure this is important for them and looking at what is mainly driving it. Is it risk compliance? Is it governance? Is it, data curation? Is it you're trying to do cloud migration? We have a lot of different use cases that Alation gets utilized for. Are you trying to improve the life of a data scientist, data analyst? Are you trying to see that ROI improvement there? Because Alation can bring that. Salesforce, one of our customers, their data scientists are able to turn around reports much faster now because of Alation. We have case studies on a lot of our different customers you can find on our website that will talk about the improvements there. So it really depends on, you can see, if you start seeing the benefits now, we can work with you. That's selfish response, but the true answer is, like, if you're just trying to do governance, if you're trying to help improve your data analysts, or you're trying to do risk compliance like GDPR, PII, we got you covered there.
I got a couple of questions that have come in. What is Alation's software update schedule?
Great question. So at the time of this recording, right now we do 4 releases, major releases a year. Those are feature releases. And then we do every 2 weeks to do a patch. And then you can install any point of those, and it will include all the past stuff too. And one thing that really stood out is our updates and installation. We can install within an hour and be connected to a data source, and you're already off to the races running. Our updates take 20 minutes. Like, it's super quick, very easy to deploy and manage.
Excellent. Another question. This is a softball, but we'll throw it at you. What Alation customer case study do you think is most impressive?
Ooh, now this is a interesting one. So I'm going to start at a very high level and say first, go look at our alation.com/customers. One thing you'll notice there is that we have customers that will span all the major verticals, from video games to insurance to manufacturing. We have a lot of different customers using us for different things. one of my favorite ones is probably Munich Re, and because once you start plugging in your data sources to Alation, enabling people to go out, your end users, your business people, your analysts, data scientists, going out and finding the data, you're going to start seeing some really cool results, because Munich Re was actually able to generate a whole new line of business because of Alation. And like the case study talks about it, because their analysts went out there and found out, hey, we don't have windmill insurance, and this is a growing vertical. And they were able to discover that because they were looking at, the data that they had in their system to generate. So that's one of my favorite ones to talk about.
Well, excellent. You pulled it off. Well done. We appreciate it very much. We would certainly encourage everybody attending this and watching this to go to alation.com and check out not only those case studies, but all the ways that they're bringing data catalog to the market. It's a very compelling thought and an interesting solution that I think a lot of people should get to know. So we'll be coming back at the top of the hour. Nic, thanks very much again for all your time. Please stay tuned, and we'll get to our third demo of the demo day. Thanks.